Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for taking a minute to stop by. If you're returning, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to return. You guys, is much appreciated. I have been gone again. I took a couple of week break after I told you guys that I was going to be back on here recording. So today I am back. I was going to start recording and uploading again tomorrow, which is Friday. And of course there's like a huge, oh, it's a helicopter. Looks like medic. It's flying across. So I saw this news story and I figured I need to go ahead and get on here and talk to you guys just to let you guys know, just not to become so complacent. And I think a lot of times people think they're immune to certain situations or things that happen, but this can happen to anybody at any time. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And before I get into the story, I don't want to hold up a lot of your time. I'll probably go more in depth on my other channel, but the reason for my absence was I did end up having a miscarriage a couple of weeks ago. I had some complications from that just because I decided not to go through with what my doctor wanted me to go through with, and then it came to the point where I had to for health reasons to just go ahead and do what she had advised me to do a few weeks before, just because my body was not like completely doing what it needed to do. And like I said, I'll get more in depth on my other channel about it. I don't want to talk about that a lot on this other channel. I am okay. So yes, today is June the 20th, and like I said, I'm just gonna like hop into this news story. This is regarding a homeless shelter, y'all, and anybody, like I said, at any time, God forbid, can be put in this situation. So there's a homeless shelter in Gastonia, North Carolina, which is in Gaston County. It's a little bit over an hour away from me. It's actually a place that we considered moving to with my husband's job transfer a couple years ago, but we ended up being placed at another location, which definitely has worked out. I'm happy that, it worked out the way it did. But anyways, they are closing the Salvation Army homeless shelter in Gastonia. They will not be accepting new people after July the 15th, so that's less than a month away. Once July 15th hits, they have about another month and a half or so before they shut their doors down completely. The Salvation Army says that they're doing this to prevent homelessness, and they say that they're putting more focus on the root cause of the problem, which doesn't make sense, because if you close the shelter, there are already homeless people out there that don't have beds, so you're going to push the homeless that are in your shelters back out into the streets. There's a lady that they spoke to who is 68 years old, and it says that she recently had back and knee surgery and she needs a walker to get around, and the thought of her being turned out of the only shelter in town frightens her, which rightfully so. She's actually in a program that moves people from shelter to permanent housing, but of course there's a line of permanent housing. There is so many people that are out on the streets and just not in permanent housing, but permanent housing is an issue. I know around this area, like North Carolina, I'm sure in other, counties and towns across the United States is an issue. Mecklenburg County is right next to me, and they have an issue with housing. There's a huge housing crisis right now in Mecklenburg County. And if you don't know anything about Mecklenburg County, just think Charlotte, and that's Mecklenburg. The director of the Gateway Gaston, which is a group that helps people facing homelessness, he said that the Salvation Army can proactively fight to keep people housed, but it will need a massive buy-in from groups like Gateway, and that the community can come together and help, but we need to know what their plan is. So the thing about it is, it may be a little too late, because you got to think about it. Again, this is a month and a half away. That's not a whole lot of time. I will say that I think I was shocked to find out that a lot of towns or a lot of counties only have one homeless shelter. So this is Gaston County's only homeless shelter. I decided to do a little digging, and I actually called my local homeless shelter, and I was shocked to find out that this is the only homeless shelter in my entire county as well. I was thinking maybe I heard her wrong, but so I called back for clarification, and she did confirm that for the entire county that I'm in, the homeless shelter happens to be in my town, but again, it's the whole one that serves a very large county. I also would go on to say that she did say that she didn't have house or beds available right now for women. They did have a few beds available for the men's side. I also in turn asked her how many beds do they have available for women. She said 16. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that it's 16 for men as well. Again, women's is completely full. Men's, they do have some availability. I asked her also, how does it work? Do people have to check in every day or check out every day? and then you know, come back in at a certain time. She said no, what happens is they check in and they're there indefinitely unless they get kicked out. So say you need a place, you can go there. If they have housing or openings for a bed, you can stay there. As long as you follow the rules, you're good. I didn't get into details like if a job was needed or if there were anything, you know, any kind of payment, monetary payment that was needed at all. I didn't get into all that. I think I was just shocked that there are only 16 beds available, like for the women's side for an entire county. I mean, I have more than 16 people living in my neighborhood, so that just doesn't seem like a huge amount. So it's already like you're out of luck. I do now see why there are so many homeless people on the streets. I think a lot of people think that people are out on the streets because they want to be, and I'm not saying that in certain situations some people are more comfortable on the streets and living in a shelter, but just hearing that, that's just not sufficient enough. There is definitely a huge housing issue and a housing crisis across America. I think the thing that frustrates me, and I probably can speak for many as well, I'm sure I'm going to have people disagree with me, and that's okay as long as y'all keep it respectful in the comments. I'm definitely open for discussions when it comes to this. My issue is there are people who are coming into this country illegally and they get housing, like they're sneaking across the border, they're coming through on boats, whatever it is, and our country is paying for housing for these people. They're paying for shelters. Like they can go to a shelter. They have these huge camps where they're getting 3 hot meals a day. They're getting a cot, they're getting blankets, they're getting to take a warm shower. I don't care how packed they are in there. They're still getting these services, and we, the taxpayer, are paying for it. Yet you're telling me in the county that I live in, there are only 16 women beds and probably 16 men's beds. That's 32 people. 32 people? That's a problem. So I'm saying all this to say, make sure that you're staying on top of things. Make sure that you are prepping. Make sure that you're having what you need in your home. I think a lot of people are under the impression that, hey, I don't have to prep, or you guys are crazy for wanting to like stock your homes with food, water, you know, just basic necessities, because if anything happens, they can just go and, you know, stand out at a soup kitchen or stand out in line. But who's to say that's going to be open? Like, who's to say that that's going to be an option when they're clearly shutting down homeless shelters? You think they're going to be out there and, you know, giving bowls of rice and things like that? No. Besides the fact that you don't want to rely on anyone but yourself, you know, at least the government or any of the, you know, entities, is that the correct word? Y'all, my brain is fried. So yeah, this is just your reminder to prep. I will be bringing more prep videos, preparedness videos, as I told you guys before. Just let me know what you think about this. Do you see a large like homeless population in your area? I have a sibling that actually lives in California, and she says like in her town there, they call it like almost like a skid row. It's full of nothing but homeless people. Like you see tents, and it's bad, y'all. It's bad. And not only is it bad because people are losing their jobs, like we had the pandemic that happened, there are just so many reasons that people are in the situation that they are in, whether it's job loss, whether it's just, you just never know. You can't just always assume that people are homeless because, you know, bad choices or because they're like on drugs or, you know, things like that. That's not always the case. It can happen to anybody. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up, you guys. I'm getting bit up by mosquitoes. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I will be back with another video tomorrow, but take care, stay safe, and I will see you in another video.